Alright, so this is going to be a long video. Welcome to my review for Season 4 of The Flash. I love reviewing The Flash. In case you haven't seen them, go and watch my other reviews for the previous Flash seasons. But for this video, I'm going to get straight into it because this looks like it's going to be a long video based off of what I'm looking at. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is Wally, who is in this season, of course, because he was in last season. As Kid Flash, and I wasn't too happy, I guess, that this season kind of like gave him the boot, because in season 2 and 3 was spent building up Wally West slash Kid Flash, and then in this season he's just barely in it at all. He's in the first 3 episodes, I think, and leaves and then pops up again in the crossover event, and that's it. He leaves again and is never heard of. So, I don't know what's going on. I really like Kid Flash, and Kid Flash is the Flash's sidekick, so I didn't really get why he wasn't in this season. Anyway, one character that was introduced and built up quite well for this season is Ralph, who I call my Ralphie boy. It sounds sexual, but I promise you it's not. Anyway, Ralph was awesome. I really liked him. He was the comedic relief for this season, and he was just great. Like, they call him the elongated man, but to me, he's Plastic Man. They should have just made him Plastic Man. And in a lot of ways, this season explores how, in a lot of ways, he is a real hero, and is the hero of the season. Anyway, Ralph being the comedic relief of this season also ties into the fact that this season tried to, and I will say successfully, went more comedic than previous seasons. Season 3 went, I personally think, a lot more serious and darker than seasons before it. I love Season 3, still love it. But this season was more comedic. Because due to the shit that's going on. I mean, the guy with the thinking cap and the girl that has luck as a power and all that stuff. But it really worked. I was surprised at how many times I actually laughed and how many episodes I actually loved based off of them being really comedic. Alright, there is this one thing that this current season, or soon to be previous season of The Flash, started doing. And I don't know if other CW shows like Supergirl or Arrow do it, because I don't watch them. I personally don't find them that interesting. I find them quite shite. But what The Flash Season 4, I know for a fact because I watch it, has started doing is referencing Marvel characters like the Incredible Hulk, Thor, and Spider-Man, and more than once.
Oh my god, you're like the Incredible Hulk.
Have you not seen Spider-Man 2?
Thor, son of Odin on you.
Why? I honestly don't get it myself, because the minute a superhero comic book universe references a rival superhero franchise or universe, then you're immediately breaking the fourth wall, which isn't something that a normal superhero would do unless you're Deadpool. So, by the way, go up into the right, I think it is, yeah. Look at my Deadpool reviews. They're great. But I just didn't get it. Like, okay, haha, some people might like it, but I didn't like it because the minute you acknowledge the existence of another superhero universe, then you have to acknowledge your own superhero universe as a piece of entertainment. So, no, just didn't, no. It was not right. Anyway, another thing that I have to get off my chest, I do have to get this off my chest for at least one season of The Flash, and this is something that has been bothering me ever since they started doing it in season 2 of The Flash, and it's the huge crossover events that they have started doing. The season 2 crossover wasn't that big. I mean, it was really the beginning of it where we started to see, oh shit, these things actually can get quite big. And then season 3 went even bigger with alien invasion. This season, Nazis. Interesting idea. And for a lot of the time I was entertained. But the one thing I always notice in these huge crossover events is the fucking action. I have a few examples I'm going to pop up right here, and man, it's just, I can totally see that these people are on strings. It's not believable at all. I mean, one guy gets punched by Supergirl, and he goes like this, not like this, like physics suggests you should do. When you get punched, gravity pulls you down, not up. I mean, oh, it's so stupid. And not only that, these crossover events try to have sad scenes, and this season's crossover event just, there were some sad scenes that, you know, had an effect. Most didn't, because they just dragged it on and droned it on and went for too long. Where, you know, when you drag a sad scene on for too long, the emotion is lost. You need to keep it quick and to the point, so that it hits you, and then you move on to whatever's next. Anyway, that was a long rant about it. The crossover events are good, okay? I like seeing all the characters interact. It's just the action and the drama sometimes goes a little too far. I want to talk about Wells for a second, because he is in this season for pretty much the whole thing. And he was in season 2 because that's where we first met Earth 2 Wells. But he wasn't in season 3 at all. He was barely in it. But HR was. So my question was, like, why couldn't they just get the actor to come in and play Wells again? And after I awoke from my stupidity, I realized, oh shit, that same actor is playing HR. So then the question transformed itself into, why didn't they just have Earth 2 Wells in season 3 all along? And this is why. I believe that Earth 2 Wells was being saved for this season so that his intellect, because Earth 2 Wells is very smart, I think he was being saved for this season so that his intellect can be challenged by a villain with a much greater intellect. Because I honestly think if Earth 2 Wells was the Wells for season 3, then Savitar would have been beat like halfway through the season. So they had HR, who was not the smartest person of any of them. So it was really interesting how they saved Wells for this season, and it's great. And what they do with Wells at the end of the season, it's good. I think it's good. Now, Caitlin / Killer Frost was great last season. She's great this season. They explore her well, her past and all that. But I didn't particularly like how the team was using her. In particular, Cisco and Wells.
Lexi LaRoche!
The childhood bully.
Now, I have to make myself clear here. Caitlin Snow, as a character, did bring a lot to the team. She did a lot this season on her own without her powers, okay? She does do that in any season, alright? She brings a lot of science know-how to the team. But whenever they needed Killer Frost, I just didn't like how they would go about bringing her out. Basically, what they would do is they would verbally abuse Caitlin, yelling and screaming at her when you don't really... Like, I sort of get why you need to do that because she works off of fear and anger, but it's just when it kept happening, it just felt like you were just using her for Killer Frost. And I think they explore that idea in one episode after the crossover when Caitlin's like, oh, I'm just good for Killer Frost. But why I had a problem with it because Cisco went off at Ralph for talking shit about Killer Frost in front of Caitlin. And then, I think like 2 episodes later, they yell and scream at her. Right in her ear, like right next to her, just to get Killer Frost out. It's like, you're scientists. There is a more sufficient way to go about this thing.
Let's go!
Anyway, it's just a small little nitpick of mine that I noticed everyone else having. Alright, so the review's about 10 minutes long now, but I'm going to get to the one character that I loved more than anyone, and that is the villain DeVoe. I freaking loved DeVoe. I'm sorry, I gotta read this because I wrote a lot of shit down. Oh yeah. I still don't know the actor's name, but his performance was freaking fantastic. Spectacular. All those words are like how great it is. It's just, he was so good, and Grant Gustin as an actor isn't that good, but he does have a lot of good moments, and these two played off of each other so well. just, oh, it's like every time they got together, it really cemented who DeVoe is, what type of villain he is, and who he is to Barry this season. This is probably the best setup for a Flash villain that I have seen. I gotta say, I was skeptical going into season 4 because this was a villain with a thinking cap that he used to beat a speedster. And I was skeptical because of that, but also because the only ones who we have seen physically capable of challenging the Flash are other speedsters. So that coupled with the idea of a guy with a dumb thinking cap, it's just, at first I was skeptical because of those two reasons, but then when the writers and the actor really nail it down and do this character justice, you really see what makes him a great villain. He is purely a mentally challenging antagonist, and not just for Barry Allen, for Wells as well, and for everyone involved in the season. And you know what? This villain for season 4, DeVoe, achieved something that I'm pretty sure no other villain in previous Flash seasons has ever achieved. He fucking sent Barry Allen to prison. Holy shit! No other villain that I have seen in The Flash has ever achieved that. That is ballsy, because not only is like, shit, the villain actually won halfway through the frickin' season, but it's not just that, it's like, there was no Flash for many episodes. I think about 5. And that is a ballsy move. I can't say I've ever seen that before in other TV shows. I mean, other TV shows like The Walking Dead, Daredevil, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they play other riskier games with their characters. But this season of The Flash did something that I personally haven't seen in those other shows. And it was stellar. It was fantastic. Anyway, I really loved the villain. He has got to be, and I'm not even kidding, one of my top favorite villains in all TV shows. I'm not counting movies because, you know, they're kind of separate, but in all of TV, in all of my favorite TV shows, DeVoe has got to be one of my favorites. Not even kidding you. Anyway, I will see you in my review for Han Solo, A Star Wars Story. Honestly, they should have just called it Han Solo, because Solo is weird. Anyway, I will see you in that review with my sister. See you then.